Hello, this is Rakesh Patnaik. Here I'm going to discuss about BART. It is a pre-training model which helps in denoising sequence-to-sequence pre-training using it is a additional version of NLP which helps you to natural language generation, translation, and comprehension. Let's discover about more details about it. What is BART? BERT is a denoising autoencoder for pre-training sequence-to-sequence models. Pre-trains a model combiningly bidirectional and autoregressive transformers. Pre-training consists of two phases. An arbitrary noising function is used to distort the text. A sequence-to-sequence model is learned to restore the original text. So it's basically first clean out the text or noises from the text, and then based on that, it try to encode and decode it into the original text to get the understanding of the text we have. Coming to the models, first is a malperformed document is mapped to the original document. It was created from using the denoising autoencoder BART. It is implemented as a sequence-to-sequence model with a bidirectional encoder over corrupted text and a left-to-right autoregressive decoder. The negative log probability of the original document is optimized for pre-training. Architecture. The conventional sequence-to-sequence transformer architecture from GPT is used by BERT, and we change the activation function from ReLU to JLU and initialize the parameter. In our large model, we employ 12 layers in each of the encoder and decoder compared to 6 levels in our basic model. Each layer of the decoder also conducts cross-attention across the encoder's last hidden layer, as in the transformer sequence-to-sequence model. BART uses an additional feed-forward network before word prediction, which BART doesn't. BART has around 10% more parameters than the BART model of the same size. So let's look into this screenshot of bidirectional, where it can encode into bidirectional ABE, and then auto regressive decoder, where it decode the values into the exact form and make an understanding of the sequence of text that we are passing through. Pre-training BART. Documents are first corrupted and then reconstruction loss. The difference in the cross entropy between the output of the decoder and the original document is optimized. This allows us to apply any type of document corruption, but is comparably to a linguistic model since all source-related information is gone. So there are different processes that we follow in BART, which are token masking, where there will be like encoding, sentence permutation based on what the sentences that we are giving as an input, document rotation, we can change the document flow, how it is written, token deletion, and then generating this one in the middle, which is trying to make, and text infilling, where there is a gap between the text or words. This is how the BART works. So let's come to the fine-tuning BART for classification and translation. There are sequence classification tasks. The encoder and decoder get identical input, and a new multi-class linear classifier is fed the final hidden state of the last decoder token. This method is similar to BERT's CLS token, but we add the extra token at the end so that the encoder's representation of the token may account for decoder states from the whole input. Second, token classification task. Let's say full document is fed into the encoder and decoder, and the top hidden state of the decoder as a representation of each word. This is used to classify the token. Third, sequence generation task. Since BART has an auto-regressive decoder, it is directly tuned for sequence generation tasks such as question answering and summarization. I will talk about more details about how the summarization or Q&A works in BART as my personal opinion. Machine translation. BART is also used to enhance the machine translation decoders for English translation. Previously, it has been demonstrated that using pre-trained encoder can enhance models, but benefits from using pre-trained language models are limited. But we show that it is possible to use full BART model, encoder and decoder as one pre-trained decoder from machine translation by introducing a new set of encoder settings derived from the bytext. Replace BART's encoder embedding layer with a newly randomly initialized encoder. Newly encoder is trained to map foreign words into an input that BART can translate to English. The new encoder can utilize a language separate from the original BART model. This is how the translation works using the BART package. So this basically decodes in a total information to English and then encode and decode and then generate the translation into English format, which is like a transforming from one language to a different language. That is how the translation works in BART. How machine translation works? Let's look into that. Source encoder is trained into two stages, which uses backpropagating the cross entropy loss from the output of the BART model. Stage 1, some BART parameters are held and only update random initialized source encoder. Stage 2, all parameters are trained for a certain numbers of iterations. So as you can see here, randomly initialized encoder goes through and then pre-trained encoder and then pre-trained decoder, which generates the exact translation what we are looking for. There are additional model approaches are also available. Those are language model, permuted language model, masked language model, multitask masked language model, masked sequence to sequence. So coming to my personal opinion, in the article that I have chosen for BART is quite decent about understanding what is BART is as a basic understanding of it. However, it could have been better by giving some examples. For examples, I can give one example here is using BART model, we can create summarization. For example, let's say we are having a school meetings or the classes through online, through Zoom or Teams. So it generates the captions, what we are speaking, like a subtitles, and at the end we get those scripts. However, using those scripts, let's say we have a class of 2 hours, and for the entire 2 hours, let's say someone is absent or someone is absent and he is busy, he could not attend the entire 2 hours video, but he, let's say, want to get to know the main gist of the class. In that case, the BART can be the best solution. It can generate the summarization of the entire data. Let's say we have those captions present with, let's say, 10 pages, whereas BART can generate a summary within a page or so, which is basically the summary of the entire 2 hours and can be readable within 10 to 15 minutes. So this is one of the examples that can help a person to minimize the time but get the better understanding of something. Similar can be applicable in enterprises. For example, in enterprises, the people who are basically related with the technology, but they have to attend the business meetings sometimes, which is not very much relevant. So in that case, it is basically a waste of uh, time for the person. So in that case, they can, if they can get a summary of the total class, total meetings, they can maximize their productivity, and it will be useful for them as well to get to know about the business, and similarly applicable to the business. Sometimes when there are meetings which are mainly involved about the technology people or the engineers, there are people who are from the business side. They joined it and they feel like it is not that much relevant. But if they are going to not attend, they are also going to miss it, a few of the details they are looking for. So in that case, they have to attend for the entire 1 hour or 2 hours or more, um, where it is not that much useful. So instead of that, if they can get a summary of what exactly it has been discussed, they can read it through within a short span of time, which is really helpful for a business person as well. So it is applicable in various meetings which are we are having these days, basically post pandemic, where we can get the scripts more easily, because everything we are doing majorly through Teams or Zoom, where it can generate the scripts or subtitles what we are speaking, and based from those texts we can regenerate the text that we are looking for in the summary. And similar other examples can be given, which could make this particular article a better understanding, to visualize what could be the solution using this BART package. Uh, Other than this summary, there can be also examples related with the translations and uh, or how we are generating this pre-training sequence to sequence model. So moving to the next, where I refer to is the mythology.org, where it is basically talks about this particular BART denoising sequence to sequence pre-training for natural language generation, translation, and comprehension. And it is written by these mentioned persons who has noted. However, it is very much useful to get to know about this particular package, but which helps to create the language from a language set of language pages, and generate the understanding of the majority of the things, which is helpful to get the translation or comprehension of a details information. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it is useful for everyone. Thank you.